morning. Good morning. How is everybody, man? Hope you are doing fantastic on Tuesday morning. It's Halloween today. No costumes today, just the UNL shirt, doing my thing. We no need to do that here in the office. There's only a handful of us, and we don't have customers coming in here. We're all telesales. So what are we going to do? Dress up. But I hope you guys are having a fantastic Tuesday, man. It is crisp here in Austin, Texas. We had a cold front come in. It is no longer 75. It is no longer 85. It is like 45 degrees here. So, a little chilly, but we are prepared for the weather change here in Austin, Texas, and definitely have a great Tuesday show for you guys. So super excited that you're here. Hope everybody had a good weekend. I know a lot of people were doing their Halloween festivities over the weekend. I did mine dressed up kind of like some crazy captain dude that just goes around and harasses everybody, and we had a great time. But we have a spectacular show lined up for you, truthfully. I got a little bit of news I'm going to jump into here in a minute, and then we're going to have Mr. Chase McAllister come on. We're going to chat it up on CRMs, why you need a CRM, the importance of CRMs, but more importantly, the data hygiene in your CRM, because the truth is garbage in equals garbage out. Right? If you're not taking care of the data that you're putting into your CRM, it's not going to be very useful for you when you actually try to apply it to help you, whether it be through additional marketing efforts and cross-marketing or client retention, etc. So we are definitely going to dive into that. But first and foremost, as always, All right. First up, you guys know I love to point out fraud. And here we have a former executive at a Medicare Advantage organization charged for a multi-million-dollar Medicare fraud scheme. You don't say. And this was just released late last week on Thursday. But it says right here that the Justice Department today announced charges against a former executive at HealthSun Health Plans, which is a Medicare Advantage organization operating Medicare Advantage plans in South Florida. So what happened? Well, according to court documents, Kenya Valle Boza, don't know if I'm saying that right, but it's close enough, age 39 of Miami, formerly the director of Medicare Risk Adjustment Analytics at HealthSun, allegedly orchestrated a stream to submit false and fraudulent information to CMS to increase the amount that HealthSun received for certain Medicare Advantage enrollees. CMS pays Medicare Advantage plans like those HealthSun operates based in part on the health condition of their enrollees. To increase the company's profits and their own compensation, Valle and her co-conspirators are alleged to have knowingly submitted and caused the submission to CMS of false and fraudulent information about chronic ailments that Medicare beneficiaries and HealthSun's plans did not actually have. So basically, they are upcoding, right, their patients so that they can get more money for the treatments that they're giving them, right? As a matter of fact, just last week or a couple of weeks ago, you should have seen an article from me regarding Cigna HealthSpring, who is in hot water for this exact same practice, or at least very similar to it. And they had to pay quite a bit more. I think they had to pay somewhere around $170 million, if I remember correctly. HealthSun, thankfully, HealthSun is avoiding criminal prosecution themselves because it's all going against this Kenya Valle Boza, and because HealthSun agreed to repay the Department of Health and Human Services $53 million in those overpayments. So she created a conspiracy where she can generate extra income for not only HealthSun, but also her own compensation and her co-conspirators by submitting false claims data. Medicare overpaid them about $53 million, and thankfully HealthSun's paying it back, and that's how they are managing to avoid getting in hotter water. But this is a major issue in the Medicare space. I mean, everybody that talks about original Medicare versus Medicare Advantage, which one's better, which one costs more money. Certainly, when you look at Medicare Advantage in this perspective, yeah, it costs Medicare a lot of money because you unfortunately do have some fraudulent players in the game that are overbilling Medicare, right? They're creating false codes so that they can generate more money coming in. Terrible practice, and if we could absolutely wipe that out, we could definitely clean up the Medicare expense, clean up the hospital trust fund, and make Medicare a little more prosperous, I guess I should say, or a little more stable for the long term. And certainly same with doctors that are out there creating fraud, because doctors are a part of this, right? She didn't act alone. She had doctors that were helping her with this billing code system, but that is something we got to clean up. So I'm all about it. And this is from the DOJ going after these folks. So good stuff. Moving along, got one more I want to show you guys real quick. And this is bad news in California, unfortunately, for all you PNC guys. 4 more home insurance brands are leaving California. Well, which 4, you say? Well, it's 4 small insurers, right? But that is Maristar Insurance Company, Unitrin Auto and Home Company, Unitrin Direct Property and Casualty Company, and Kemper Independence Insurance Company. Each cited a nationwide restructuring decision from their parent company, Kemper Corporation, according to the document filed jointly this month with the California Department of Insurance. So we got 4 more carriers exiting California. I mean, it's 4 brands really under one parent company, Kemper Corporation, but there's 4 more carriers that people in California can't purchase, which, creates more problems out there. So I'm not sure everything that's going on in California. I know they want to blame it on the climate situation, wildfires, all of that stuff. But yeah, I mean, for some of you PNC guys, I would love y'all to chime in. I'll make sure this article is in the group and go in there and comment on it. Kind of let me know what your thoughts are, kind of where California's headed, because I'm kind of curious what's going to go on there in the home insurance space. But moving along, man, I want to get our guest on here. But before I do, I want to take a moment to tell you about our sponsor, MetaZeus. MetaZeus, if you're not already familiar, is a real-time analytical tool to monitor and manage your Medicare Advantage business. And when I say real time, I mean real time, right? And this is super important. If you're an agent out there that's been selling Medicare Advantage, you already know that when you have someone that gets flipped on their plan, you don't find out usually for 2 or 3 months until you get a chargeback. And then you go in like, wait a second, I thought me and this client were tight. How come I'm getting flipped here? But it's too late at that point to do anything really, right? So MetaZeus will allow you to upload your entire book into the database, completely secure, completely Medicare compliant, and within 24 hours, you can find out if any of your business is getting flipped. I uploaded my entire book to the platform, right? Several hundred apps. Let it fetch the data. It took about 20 minutes to go back and get all the data. It confirms their Medicare number, confirms their birth date, their address, their phone number, and it also tells me what plan I had them enrolled in. And if they happen to switch, it'll tell me what the future plan is and those future effective dates. It'll also confirm their LIS levels and Medicaid levels, if you don't know that. So a couple of things that I did. Number one, I uploaded my book to it. Second thing I did is I noticed that, hey, we do have a handful of clients that are getting flipped without our knowledge. We were able to reach out to those clients. A couple of them we fixed up. One of them, turns out she had Medicaid, didn't even know it. But we were able to find that out through the system because it told us, hey, this person is basically full Medicaid status. So we were actually able to go back and fix the flip that somebody else had flipped her, not knowing she had Medicaid, got her on a good D-SNP plan, and we fixed a couple of other internal flips that were a piece of cake and kept them in our book of business, right? So excellent tool, man. If you are out there writing Medicare Advantage business, and this fits really into the topic of today's show when it comes to data hygiene in your CRM. This is a great example to keep that you can use to keep your CRM clean, to know exactly what's going on with your Medicare Advantage clients, to know exactly what plans they're moving in and out of in real time, not 2 to 3 months later when you finally get a chargeback. So if you haven't checked out MetaZeus, check it out. We've got some links on it in the group. I'll make sure there's more links in the comments of this video. And check it out, get a demo of it, and get signed up, man. This is a phenomenal tool. And truthfully, it's only $89 a month. So, I mean, that's basically 3 Medicare Advantage apps. If you're writing, 50 to 100 Medicare Advantage apps a year, you could use this tool to easily save 3, keep them in your book, and make your money back. So I've already saved 3, and I just started using it. Pretty slick. So moving along, man, I hope you guys are ready. This guy has been on the show before. He's not a one-time guest. He's a repeat performer. He's been on Winning on Wednesday. He's been on Tuesday Training, and we're bringing him back up here. He is an absolute master when it comes to lead development, sales, activity, and certainly CRMs, and just, I would say, sales and marketing in general, really. This guy's superstar. He's out there. He's got great tools that you can tap into as an agent. He's got some phenomenal leads. I keep hearing great things about his final expense, his ACA, and now his Medicare leads out there. I haven't used them myself. We might have to, though. But let's get him on board and see what he has to say. What's going on, Mr. Chase?
What's going on?
How are you?
Thank you for such a kind intro. I would claim I'm a master, but I just think it's more about reputation and conversations, right? And thank you for the intro. I really appreciate that. But
anybody with a whiteboard that clean and neat and organized is absolutely a master, in my opinion.
If it wasn't, it's probably blurred out a little bit. But if you'd seen my handwriting, you'd think otherwise.
Yeah, my whiteboard looks like a mad genius up there with stuff going. It looks like that. It's like that meme of that Charlie O'Day character or whatever it is, where he's got strings everywhere and he's all crazy trying to figure out what's going on.
So. Yeah, well, I guess to start off the topic here, one, I have no CRM to sell you. So let me just preface this. We do not sell any CRM. So this is just to provide value on my experience. Our company, we generate around 6,000 to 8,000 phone calls a day. So conversations is our masterpiece. We know how to generate them and know how to keep our data clean. So I should be able to speak on this topic.
Yeah.
But first and foremost, let's, I guess, talk about the organizational aspect of leads. I think a lot of agents fail to implement certain procedures with how they handle the leads manually that really come down to building the core values in your work ethic on your leads. And I think, ultimately, there's a lot of people that are probably listening or will listen to this call that have so many leads that are sitting around in their database that they have no clue how that conversation happened, what happened on that conversation, who that person is, what interest level did they have, etc. And they have no way of collecting that because they never put that stuff into their CRM, right?
Yes.
The most important thing, and for our team, our sales team internally, as well as our call centers, it's ultimately dispositions, right? Even with a Go High level, there's probably a lot of people using a Go High level or a dialer, whatever it might be. Your dispositions are everything. Right? A lot of the key ones that we have are, so you can look back, understand what type of interest this person had, what happened in the conversation, where did it leave off, and ultimately, how qualified was this person on health, finance, etc. Any pertinent information that you need to gather for your specific product type. All that should be documented in the note section of your CRM, wherever you want to put it, so that way you have it to go back to. And a lot of times people forget to do that. And for us, it's mandatory if you work at our company or if you're in our call centers, that every single conversation that you have with a person, whether that be a current client, whether that be a new lead, has to be documented. Everything has to be documented with a link to the recording of the call. So you have that. Everybody can go to that call, go to that lead, and see exactly what happened and what type of conversations have transpired with this person. So first and foremost, if you're not documenting every last conversation that you have with somebody and not spending the 2 minutes it takes after a call to write some notes, you're failing to begin with. No automations, no reminders, no special tools. Although MetaZeus is really freaking cool, no tool is going to help you unless you put the basics there first. And that's what I want to talk about today. Is I'm not going to tell you some fancy sequence or some fancy new tip and trick to automate your CRM or send some text messages that are bound to get conversation. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm going to tell you the simple basics that it takes and requires for you to build a system that works. I'm not saying you have to do these things manually for the rest of your life, but I'm a fond believer that you can't automate something unless it's been manually proven. And that's a fact for us. So if we're going to automate a text message, if we're going to automate a birthday reminder, if we're going to automate a thank you card, etc., I want to know that it's been proven to work before I go and automate it and get lazy. Because without manual action and without it being proven first, there's no sense in building something that we have no idea. And then when you talk about A/B testing, I'm sure there's a lot of CRM companies that will probably be like, that's ridiculous. I A/B test manually. I don't like to A/B test building out automations and then, seeing if it works. I don't want to burn through our leads. I make sure it's done manually first. So for example, everybody can use this sequence. This is what our dialer uses. This is what we've automated to now produce the conversations. But before any of that happened, it was manual sequences that made sure that we proved the result that we wanted. And then we automated everything we could in between. So before you're doing that, you should be documenting one of those processes, how you're handling the leads and what's getting you the best result. How we handle our leads, just on a conversation aspect, not reminders, not any text message sequence, the conversation itself. How many times you should technically be dialing your leads. And if anybody knows me, I call your fucking leads. Excuse my French. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on here, but it's call your fucking leads every day. And I'm a true believer in that. If you look at my Facebook profile, every other post is saying it. So it's recited. But for me, I want anybody that's listening that's thinking, oh, I need to build out text campaigns, email campaigns, just to drive conversations. First and foremost, if you're not doing this, what I'm about to go over, you shouldn't even be looking at any of those first. So first, grab a spreadsheet. Grab the most recent leads that you've got. I want you to put in 5 minutes. Did I call them in 5 minutes? Did I call them in 30 minutes? Did I call them in 1 hour? Did I call them 12 hours after that? Did I call them day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7? Seems crazy. Put that in the columns of your spreadsheet. Put every number down the line. And I want you to tick box every single person and how many times you dialed them until they pick up. If they pick up, remove them from the spreadsheet, add them to your CRM, do whatever you want after. This is the first and foremost how you should be dialing your leads. So for example, you're going to call it within 5 minutes of that lead opting into any form, Facebook ad, whatever. That's typical knowledge. 30 minutes after, if they do not pick up. If they do pick up, fantastic, remove them off that sheet. 1 hour after that, call them again. If they don't pick up, if they do pick up, remove them off the sheet. 12 hours after that, so whatever time that is in the 9 a.m., that's in the morning or afternoon, depending on when you dialed first. Then you're going to dial them every single day. If they do not pick up to any of those, you're going to dial them every single day in the morning and in the evening. And you're going to check box 2 ticks every day in that sequence. By the time you're done, you should have at least 16 to 17 dial attempts. I promise you, the amount of leads that you have in your pipeline that you said, they never picked up, wrong numbers, bad lead, terrible lead. Oh, I need a refund from my lead vendor from that. I guarantee you, if you go through every single lead to the farthest you possibly can until they answer, 9 times out of 10, you're going to see a lot of people on that 12th attempt to that 16th attempt pick up the phone. And we see a significant percentage pick up the phone after that 12th attempt. And it takes that to get people on the phone. Now, do you have to do that manually for the rest of your life? No. I'm saying do this so you can implement it, so you can trust the process, and then automate it. Get a dialer that does that same sequence. Whatever you need to do. But first and foremost, build those processes manually, because if you can't do it manually and you just try to find some shiny object to do it for you and take the workload off of you, you're never going to understand the true process of which gets the best result. Right? So if there's any piece of advice, stop looking at any of those shiny objects. Just pick up the phone, use a damn spreadsheet if you have to, and call your leads. Then lastly, once you dialed in that process, then you can start to add to it. If you don't have a baseline built out or a foundation of how you're going to communicate with these people, then you can't. Now, once you've established that process, once you've been able to put people through those amount of dial attempts, you can add text reminders. So for example, when we send out that first 30-minute call, we're actually going to drop a voicemail. And after that hour call, we'll send them a text message. If they answer that text message, I'm not going to text them back. I'm going to call them right away once they answer. The whole point is, you can build out the best email campaign and the best text campaign, but ultimately the goal of conversion is first conversation, right? So I want to get somebody on the phone as more frequent as I can. And I want to know that if they come into my pipeline, they either have to pick up the phone and tell me to F off, or they have to basically block my number. Because at that point, I'm going to make sure that no stone is left unturned. But ultimately, it has to come from you first. The process has to be manually driven so you understand the basics, leaving the good notes, understanding where those conversations left off, and putting people through that dial sequence so you can start to trust it as well. And start to look at, maybe it's not the lead, maybe it's the amount of work and the process that I'm putting those leads through. And then when we get into our automations and getting into the CRM, segmenting your clients depending on the policy types, depending on their health, depending on their age, segmenting them, tagging them in those ranges so that you can go and build out reactivation campaigns or nurture sequence, or put them into MetaZeus in a particular way, whatever you want to do, but tagging those people depending on their financial situation, depending on their level of interest, depending on the stages in which that conversation is in. Make sure that you have those tags within Go High Level. Any CRM has tagging systems, making sure that you're tagging them so that at the click of a drop, you can do a reactivation campaign at any point in time. And then obviously detailed contact records. Everything that you have a conversation with that person has to be documented. What happened on the call? Were they interested? Did they know what we offer, and were they looking for what we offer? Were they interested in what we offer and looking for what we offer, but they were just broke? Were they looking for what we offer and was unhealthy? Were they not looking for what we offer and weren't interested? Was it a lay down? Having that disposition so that way when you come back, this person's probably not the most ideal person to be talking to. Once you eventually get that so organized in a way that you can eventually know who you should be speaking to at any given time, you can automate that with dialers connecting to your CRM so that it knows and it's dialing the best, most opportune person in that time of events. Not to like blabble on too much. It's more of the manual process rather than dialing it all in. And I feel like that's one of the biggest issues that we see is insurance agents they want to find the easier way, or they want to be able to automate a lot of the things, but they aren't willing to put the manual effort in first. They're just always looking for the easy route. And I find that does everything that you try to build in the automation world, if you haven't done it yourself first, there's really no point. You're kind of just spitballing and you're getting lost in the Go High Level workflows and trying to get to become a coder. And it's do it first, then automate it. Get it to a point where it's you can do it with a blink of an eye on your own, and then it's tried and proven. Instead of trying to build out some awesome email or SMS campaign, do what's right first. Do it manually. That's
absolutely
the advice I can give today. But
that's great advice, because there's many times that I've dove into my CRM, and this I've done it with Go High Level as well, but Agency Block is where I've been most guilty with this, where I'm predicting future processes that I'm not even using yet. But I'm like, man, I'm going to get in there and I start creating things that I think I'm going to use. And then after 3 months, I'm like, well, I'm never using this. It's not what is going on, or it's not the way I envisioned it. It doesn't work the way I envisioned it, because I haven't exactly what you said, manually done it.
Yeah.
You made a comment early that said dispositions are everything. What do you think are the must-have dispositions?
Well, it really depends. So we have different departments, obviously. If it's on an insurance agent level, you're going to have two different departments for yourself, right? You're going to have sales and marketing, and then you're going to have customer success, right? Making sure that you're managing your book of business. So two different disposition forms. We built out literally as simple as this. It's a form from Go High Level. It dispositions and sends it to the notes section in the Go High Level contact card. We have it compatible with our dialer and works really, really well. Now, the dispositions on the sales side is to learn your marketing, learn where your sales guys are struggling if you have a team, as well as learn where you're struggling too. So you have that data. So first, I think I have it written down here. Give me a second. Lead dispositions. Interested in what we're looking for, and interested in looking for what we offer. Interested not looking for what we offer. Looking for what we offer broke. Looking for what we offer unhealthy. Not looking for what we offer, and then lay down. And if you can disposition that and then have comments for each section as to why that's the reason and what was the outcome at the end, and have that filled out every single time that you speak with somebody. Yeah, they might come in and might not be interested, but you might do some email marketing that gets them interested. So every time you contact or in contact with somebody that's not a customer yet, you need the disposition and have a link to that call recording inside of that disposition. So at any point in time, you can go back to that notes section and click on the call recording, refresh yourself really quickly, read a synopsis, and call. Or if you're just doing a power dialer through, manual dialing through, you have the notes so you can refresh yourself really quickly while you're getting those people on the phone. And then on a customer success side, it's, did they cancel? Did they are they coming up to a birthday? Do they have any health issues that should be a concern? There's lots more. I'm trying to think for insurance agents, but you understand what I'm saying. You need to have every little bit of conversation and any bit of problem that you think could arise with that prospect or that client in a documented form. So dispositioning every conversation that you have, whether that be with a prospect or a client, is essential because that's going to help you in the future. The 2 minutes that it takes after a call will help you and save you hours and hours and hours and hours of no context when you're calling people. I'm sure there's a lot of people in here that have had old leads and they're just straight cold calling them again, even though they've probably already talked to them. So that just makes no sense. You've already talked to them. Where were they at? What was their situation then? Bring that up. If you call them back 3 months later and you understand and remember them, that just helps the conversation 10 times more.
Correct.
Right?
We do that a lot in our office because we're marketing Medicare. We're marketing it by phone, and we're generally going after the turning 65 space, right? The people that are new to Medicare. And if we're going to be competitive in that place, we can't talk to them the month that they age into Medicare. We have to start talking to them 6, 9 months, maybe a year before they even get close to even becoming a real client of ours, right? If we want to get ahead of the other agents. So that documentation that you're talking about, those follow-ups, those dispositions are absolutely crucial because we have to talk to that person like, oh, yes, I am planning to go to Medicare, but my birthday's not until next September. And here it is, October. It's like, well, I can't really do much with you now. I can educate you a little bit. I can get you hopefully into my email blog or some of my drip marketing that educates you. But it's going to be up to that agent to make sure that those notes are in the CRM perfectly and those follow-up calls are set to call them and go, hey, when I talked to you last October, you told me you turned 65 next September. I wanted to check in, make sure we're still on the same pace or wherever, right? Yeah. Constant communication through that.
And to organize this for people that like go high level or any CRM that you can build a form in, build yourselves forms or surveys, whatever it might be, to get all the information, pertinent information that you need from the conversation. Reason I say do it forms because then you'll have actual logs that you can literally export and say, okay, this person's birthday or churning is in 3 months. So I can literally pull the entire list right then and there of who's churning 65 in 3 months. And I can hit all of them up. But having a log, even for our internal communications, this is good for just anybody that has a team. Anytime that we speak with a client, anytime that we speak with somebody internally, any vendors, anybody that's internal, any client communication or any team communication is dispositioned into a form. So a log of literally everything that's happening in the company at any point in time. Timestamps, everything. So when it ever comes push to shove or wherever we need that data, we can always look back on it. And organizing just even the communication, because conversation is really where action starts, and having accountability in those things is crucial on every aspect of your business. So, I have some documents I'll add to the files because I'm not going to go over PowerPoint presentation, but I'll add them. And if anybody wants to review them, I have SOPs on how we log all of our internal communications and how we log all of our external conversations. And it could be useful for anybody. It could be built out in basically any CRM. So I'll definitely add those instead of reading off of it for today's call.
Yeah, we'll make sure we get them in the files for everybody. When it comes to the data hygiene in your CRM, right? Number one, well, what does that mean to you? What is a good data hygiene practice mean to you?
Yeah. So one, leaving, as I mentioned before, leaving no stone unturned. I think that's the key principle is you have to have a pipeline that is a massive net and make sure that no stone that gets into that pipeline is falling out of that process. So every stone is left unturned, and meaning every person is going to be dialed to that 16 times until they pick up. And then even the data hygiene, if it doesn't, we're sending them to nurture campaigns. If it's for compliance sake, I'm sending them back to an ad, retargeting them, putting them in a place where they can be re-nurtured and re-extracted the intent. But first and foremost, you need to make sure that those processes are documented and used every single time. So data hygiene is a pretty big term, right? We can go into like literally the data on how we're managing the flow of all of the records, or we can just talk about the main portion of this is manual process first, document that, then automate, and then make sure that each lead has a place to go when they don't fall through those processes or don't turn into a conversation, that you can recycle them through that pipeline. That's what I would leave it with. But
my thought process was kind of on this. Do you, like, when it comes to whoever has access to putting stuff in your CRM sales office, right? Is there a certain philosophy or a certain standard operating procedure for how data gets entered? Exactly, the points of data that we wanted that are must-haves.
Yeah,
we don't even enter a CRM record unless we have this information. This is bonus information. Whether it's use of acronyms, certain words, spelling, like anything like that. Like, what are some of the SOPs that you guys use when you're like, okay, for someone that is manually entering data into a CRM, for example, or adjusting data in a CRM?
Yeah, so we don't manually enter data into the CRM. It's mostly just put through API. But for us, documenting that data and adding anything that, if we have a conversation with the person or we're in communication, that's going to be documented into a custom field, etc. So, obviously, whatever you put in is going to be shit out. So the organization of that data, whether that be respective to their pipelines and how they're organizing their conversation flow, is really going to make all the difference. Now, having the documents of, what's their birthday, what policy they're under, what policy they're interested in, what's their monthly, income, all of the respective information as much as you possibly can, whatever you're going to need for the sale. Right? It's going to be different for everybody. There's not going to be every specific fields for the whole of insurance, but everything you're going to need for that application should be extracted from the client in any kind of way, whether that be through lead forms, whether that be through the communication or the appointment setting, but having that documented there so it's easy, click, you got it all for them. You're just confirming that information.
Absolutely.
We do have some SOPs on organization and documentation of leads. I'm not sure how applicable it would be, but I'll definitely add it to the file list.
Yeah. And one of the reasons I bring that up, I'll just show you real quick. And this is only one stack that I'm going to show you. So we have obviously several thousand pieces of data in our CRM. And I did a big mailer for all of my old age data. I mailed out about 3,500 of these letters.
Wow.
And I've got about 70 to 100 of them back. They're all return to sender, wrong address. So I'm sitting there looking at that database going, okay, how do I get all of these people updated? I mean, the only way I can get it, I have to call them and manually get their address, or I have to go into some crazy white pages search and do it. Both are likely, calling them's not a waste of time, assuming that I can call them. Doing a white pages search is a waste of time. I need to at least, number one, get all those people removed from my database so that next time I do a mailer, I don't just mail those same addresses again.
And waste money.
And waste money. And then ultimately, I want to capture their address, which the only way I can think of is to get them back on the phone, verify their address.
Yeah, the address is a hard one, right? It almost has to come from them to confirm it, right? But ultimately, how did they get in there? Is the biggest question.
Well, these were old leads that most likely were on one of my mailers that was accurate then.
Yeah. And that even comes to, setting up simple, like yearly emails, yearly communication that goes out. Hey, have you updated your address? We have important information that we need to send you. Please update your address. Please update your address. And those key points, like we even have email reminders and text messages that come from our dialer in our call center, just to make sure that we're keeping up with data. So they'll be like, hey, we have important new information about these new 2024 programs. Just typically like what your mailer would say. And we need to make sure that your information is updated so you can actually be qualified for this. And it's almost just making sure that you can extract that data and make sure it's up to date and having it updated in your CRM automatically if you have systems.
Yeah.
That, right?
Now, from a client standpoint, that should be a fairly easy feat. Like a lot of these weren't clients. This is just old data that I've got that's in my CRM that I've collected over the last few years. Right. So most of these are prospects. So I don't quite have that relationship with them. So my first step is obviously get in there and clean them up so that I don't accidentally mail them again, but then hopefully get them on the phone and see if I can re-engage them.
Yeah.
When we talk with our clients, whether it's an inbound call that when they call us or we call them on a re-engagement campaign or whatever it is, one of our first steps is always, hey, I just wanted to verify, make sure I got the right address for you. Are you still at 123 Berry Brook Lane? Okay, perfect. Still using this email. Just like think about every time you call into any one of your giant vendors. Call in GoDaddy, call into Nextiva, like anybody. What's one of the first things they do? Hey, or even the carriers. If you call your carrier, like, oh, you're Chase McAllister. Are you still at 123 Berry Brook Lane? All right, cool. Is this still the right email for you? Is this still your cell phone? Sometimes and that just feels a little interrogating. That's just how they do it, I guess, because these are customer service people at a carrier. They're not as interested as we are in keeping those people and being nice to them. But that's something that I have to harp on some of my people about. It's like anytime you're talking to our clients, double check that the info that's in their CRM record is 100%.
I think that's such a simple thing that's quite slept on.
Yeah.
But it has to be in the process. So like in the disposition form, if you have a disposition form, please double check. If you're in your script, make sure that you have that in the script. Hey, confirm their information. Having that into a place where you don't have to think about it. It's there for you. And you're just going to go through the process of extracting that and making sure that the info is up to date is a crucial point of like for us, we're always calling to confirm the information for the person that we're transferring the call to. So it almost seems like that was just one over my head, to be quite frank. It's like, because that just seems like basic knowledge. You should always be confirming that information and make sure it's up to date. But in ways that situations like yourself with a bunch of leads that you need to now call, I would strongly encourage just making sure that when you do get in touch with those people that you're obviously confirming that information.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. You said it perfectly. And we let off the call with it, right? Garbage in equals garbage out. Shit in is shit out. Yeah. So if you're not maintaining your CRM at the highest level of data accuracy that you can, it makes it impossible to use it properly.
Like some of the insurance agents that might watch this are probably in my CRM at some point or level. And they probably, if we've spoken with you multiple times, there is documentation of every single time we've talked. What happened on the call? How did the call go? What was the outcome of the call? What reason did you give us not to move forward? Right? And there's certain contacts that have been in there for a couple years now that just frequently come back, whatever it might be. And we have a couple 4 or 5 scrolls of dispositions on those folks. And that really goes a long way when you're trying to have a conversation with somebody who's been in your CRM for 2 years. You have the documentation there. It's one of our core values when we hire a sales rep or we hire a call center agent. It's data entry is essential. Documentation of conversations is essential. If you do not document calls, we penalize our call center agents. Sometimes we even remove their commissions from those calls. Even on our sales guys, we will remove the commissions on those calls because it's like, what would have happened if you didn't sell it? We wouldn't have been able to sell them anyways. And we'll deduct. We kind of keep a scoring method, if you will, of how many dispositions you put in this week. Does it line up with the amount of appointments you had? Does it line up with the amount of calls you had? If there's a disconnect, what happened there? And keeping everybody accountable to that, especially if you own a team, is crucial. Because a lot of times it'll get slept under the cracks. You see some performance, the guy's closing, but you have no documentation of what he closed and who he closed and anything that's going to create havoc in your business. So
Yeah.
Conversations documented every single time. And then first and foremost, before you decide that you need to set up email campaigns or SMS reminders or all these different pipeline stages, just get to the basics, dial your fucking leads.
That's the short answer, right? Activity solves everything.
Yeah, agents truly forget about the basics.
Yeah.
They get bored very easily. And boring stuff gets you good results. It does. Basics gets you the result. Find the things that drive the result. And once you found the process and you have that dialed in, then look to ways to take some work off your plate.
Right.
I also am a fond believer that, we still have sections in our pipelines that is strictly for manual action. I don't want to automate everything or every conversation that we have or attempts to get the conversation, because you lose the authenticity. You lose the ability to truly connect with the client too.
Yes.
And I also find that it creates laziness within teams. So where there's important things that need to get sent out, or text messages or emails that need to be sent out, yes, you can have templates built, but I still feel like it should be a manual action, because you need to be thinking about it. You can't let somebody else think about it for you, because you haven't even established that habit yet. And I think that's where a lot of agents get wrong, is build the process, make it a habit, and then automate it.
That makes a lot of sense. Do you encourage your guys to take notes on stuff that would help them in regards to building rapport with their client?
100%.
Or their prospect?
So one of the rules is at least have 3 to 4 things, and I say this for insurance agents and our sales guys, have 3 to 4 things that you can tell me about the prospect that has nothing to do with the product that you're selling them. So for insurance, I want to know nothing about their health. I want to know nothing about their finance. I want to know something that has nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with their policy or their application. And then for us, I want to know that, like, what does this guy do for a hobby?
Yeah.
Like just those simple things that really go a long way that you could add in the conversation. And having those organized will help you tenfold.
Absolutely. Assuming that you're documenting them or taking those notes and paying attention to them when you're calling that guy, right? That way, when you call him, you can engage him in a more relatable, more personal level, right? In a personal, professional level, you can say, hey, how is Jan doing? Or how are your kids? Or your son just graduated college the other day, right? Or last year, what's he doing now? Things like that. Right.
And the nice part is, like, when I say do these things manually, it doesn't mean that you have to do them for life. We have a dialer that literally, like, it picks up when somebody texts our CRM back. It calls them right away. It predictive dials depending on what's more optimal to get the result that you're looking for. But unless you have a process that's been documented and proven to get the result that you're looking for, you can't automate it. Makes no sense. Makes no sense. So if that's anything I can leave with you guys today, is call your leads. Just yourself. Just call your leads yourself. Figure that out first, and then try to add stuff to it. And then even on the data hygiene side, document. Agents, do not get lazy. I know you've been on the phone for half an hour. You're like, I just want to go to the bathroom. I just want to go and make another coffee. I just want take the 2 minutes, calm down, and document what happened, right? And I'm even the worst for that too. Still, I'm still suck at it. I still, like, I'll have a conversation, I'll go back, and then I'll have my partner come. Well, where's the disposition of that? I don't see the record of that. Damn it! And he'll call me on it. So we're all guilty of it. It's just making sure that you're imprinting it in your brain to take the time, take the 2 minutes, and document.
Love it, man. Well, I appreciate you taking some time out of your day to come on. This has definitely been useful, and we've had some good comments. We do have a question that popped in. What dialer are you using?
We have our own dialer. It's built on our own servers. It's based off of Vici and another system. But yeah, so we, just to give them a quick plug, Brian, we do have our endless, lead program. I'd like to just plug, if I could, where you're going to get access to our call center dialer. It's the same system that our call center uses to generate 6,000 to 8,000 calls a week. You pay $650 a week for life, it's $750 for med or any health, just for the added compliance. But you're able to dial on our database endlessly. and that you'll have access to that dialer. That dialer does predictive dialing, so it's going to pick up when the person opted in. Have they responded into any email marketing that we've put out? Have they responded to any text messages that we've sent out? And it'll predictively put that person in front of you. It typically takes about 30 seconds to 60 seconds to get somebody on the phone. So you're pressing go, and you're getting somebody to answer. Yeah, you might get told the F off once in a while because you're calling maybe on life from 30 days to up to 180 days. Even fresh time, real time leads. But inevitably, conversations is what matters. And to have a predictable source of conversations is crucial. Now, we also offer, if anybody has a batch of 2,000 leads and they want to dial on their leads, we can fully put that into the CRM for you. So you can work your way out, get some people on the phone, close some deals, and pay for the subscription if you want to. We're always here to help. And I'll be putting literally the picture of the sequence our dialer uses. So if you want to replicate it in another dialer, go ahead. It's all open source at this point, but
right on.
Yeah.
You said you're generating 6,000 to 8,000 calls a day. Are those inbound calls?
No,
you're teeing up for live transfers or what?
Yeah. So I would say 20% is going to be somebody calling in.
Okay.
And then the rest will be us calling on our database. So the
Okay.
same system that we provide in our analyst program.
Right on. Well, man, what's the best way for people to reach out to you? I know you're always hanging out in the Insurance Syndicate group. You're easy to find there, but if people want to reach out directly to Chase, what's up?
Hit me up on Facebook. I'm kind of all over on the Facebook. If you want, go to www.unrl.io/endless. If you're looking for leads, if you're looking for transfers, just go to the regular site and submit a contact request, and we'll get a hold of you.
Fantastic. Well, listen, man, thank you again. I appreciate you stopping by, dude. This is, I know you're a busy dude, and I appreciate you taking time to just throw in some value and have some fun here with us. So awesome. Thank you again. I'm sure we'll see you around again. Thank all you guys for tuning in. As always, reach out to Chase, man. If you need some leads, you need a little lead help, you need some automation help, give him a buzz. This dude is a master at it. Thank y'all, and we'll see you next time for Tuesday training. Have a great week.
Call your leads, folks.